how when you watch a YouTube video and they say, I'm so excited to show you this project that I made? Well, you guys, I am not kidding. I am so excited about the way this project turned out. In fact, I think it's taken all-time favorite DIY of mine to date. Are you curious to see what it is? Let's go check it out. I can't wait to show you guys this project. I am super excited about it. So the first thing I did is I just went online and I typed in wings, and this picture came up as an Amazon one, and the reason I chose this is because I really like the shape of these wings. You may like other wings that you find, so find a picture that works for you that you like. The size is what's going to matter because the frame that I chose is approximately a 7 by 7 inch opening, and these wings are just about 6 1/4 by 6 inches wide when you're measuring out what the picture shows. So you kind of want to keep that in mind because you do want them to fit in your frame. Now I'm just taking a piece of parchment paper. I have this from my tortilla making thing, so that's why it's round, but any piece of parchment paper will be perfect. Then you're going to put that on top of your picture that you printed out, and using a Sharpie or whatever you want, Sharpie seems to work really well. Just trace out the general shape. It doesn't have to be anything too, detailed. You can see I'm just going over this really quickly. Give you the basic shape of your wings. Initially, I tried drawing out some wings. Terrible, so that's why I opted for printing them out. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to be using this Caulk Mastik. Caulk, actually, Mastik's in another language. And I got this at Dollar Tree in the tool section. And we're just going to be cutting off not very big an opening because just kind of right about where that line is that they have. And then we're just going to start tracing out and sort of filling in our wing design. What I like to do is kind of squeeze the air out of the top first of this and then kind of roll it down a little bit just to make it easier to squeeze. So the brand new tube, you're actually going to be able to wind it down a little bit and then just go in there and start sort of tracing out your wings. And you don't want this to be super perfect, right? Because we have some kind of rough edges to the wings. Sort of going in there and filling in on top of your lines. Okay, so you can see I have the basic outline there, and now I'm just going to start kind of filling in and kind of going back and forth and in different directions to sort of give an uneven feel to it, sort of like wings would have or feathers would have. They're not going to be all really nice and smooth, right? So just sort of going through and doing that until you kind of fill this all in. Don't overthink this, guys. Just go in there and fill it in. The quicker you work, the better actually it turns out. The less you overthink it, the better it turns out as well. This DIY was inspired by a Z Gallerie piece of artwork that I saw and absolutely loved. But it was close to $400. So I decided, obviously, now this is a much smaller version of it, but this is what gave me the idea and inspiration was this Z Gallerie picture here. And I am actually doing this small one to sort of do a trial run because, believe it or not, I'm going to go for it and try making the really big one. So you can see I'm kind of just going back and forth sort of in the direction that the feathers would be. And the more texture it has, kind of the cooler look it is, actually. Okay, so I want to show you what actually I am going to try and do. I found this sticker at Dollar Tree. You can see how big it is because the length of my arm here. And I am actually going to try and mimic the Z Gallerie one using this basic wing design because, as I said, I'm not the greatest with drawing the wing that I tried to draw. So I'm going to sort of add to this to get the shape that I like, and I'm going to be making a ginormous one of these. But I thought I better start small and make sure first that my whole plan even works. So we've got these two wings done, and the hardest part now is you're going to have to wait 24 hours for these to dry. So we're going to put those aside and work on something else a little bit while this is getting a head start drying. Now I'm going to take this frame, which has the writing on it, it's painted onto the back side, and just use a straight edge razor to start scraping off all of the wording. Once we have that all done, we're good to go right now with the frame, and we're going to work a little bit on the piece that we're going to be putting behind this. So I'm using foam core board from Dollar Tree, and I'm flipping to the back side here of my frame and measuring, and I'm going to use my little angle, I don't know, what are these called? Angle irons? I don't even know what they're called, but I figure that will help me get a better line here on this. So it looks like it's just about 7 1/4. So I'm gonna, right? Yes, 7 1/4 by 7 1/4. So I'm gonna measure that out on my foam core, and since I already have one corner, I think that will be making it really easy for me to get the nice square that I want. And then I'm going to just tell you guys, I've mentioned this before in other videos, I could never figure out why my foam core was not cutting nicely. Well, it's because I didn't have a sharp blade. I never understood why other people were getting such nice clean lines on their foam core. So I actually got this one as part of the craft knife set from Dollar Tree, and using a new blade, guys, is everything. It makes it about 1000% easier, and you see how nice and clean that line is. I do want to make sure this fits in there well before I end up gluing it. So now this is a bit snug, and it's going to be even a bit more snug because I'm going to be putting this fabric on it. So now that I have this piece cut and ready to go, I am going to take this, I have this crushed black velvet, and I just bought a bit, it's stretchy, and I bought it a long time ago. It's really reasonably priced. You can get it at any Joann's or any fabric store. I don't even know if other fabric stores exist at this point. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and put this on to our piece here. I haven't really cut it into size yet. And I'm just going to do that using my hot glue gun. And I'm going to do both the opposing sides first because I want to do a little trimming on the corners and be able to not have that be too bulky. And as I said, this is stretched, so I'm kind of pulling it a little bit to stretch the fabric so that it'll be nice and smooth on the front. Now I have a lot of excess here that I'm just going to trim off. Now for the sides, we're going to do the same, glue them up, but you're going to see that you're going to have this extra little piece here. So when you have this extra piece after you've glued, I glued as far as I could. Just going to take the corner here and cut that at an angle and get that excess off of there. And glue it down to get that completely covered. Now remember, this is the back side, so you don't have to worry too much about it, but you do want it to look nice. When that's all done, you'll have a nice professional looking background for your wings. Of course, the back doesn't look so great, but again, we can cover that up after we're done. And we're going to put that aside now and get back to our wings. Okay, now I made some wings ahead of time so that I could keep this video rolling. And what you just do is take your parchment paper with your wings, flip it upside down, and then slowly, and I've already done it, but I'm just showing you that slowly, then once your wings are dry, you slowly peel away your parchment paper until you have your wings just completely free and clear, just like that. What we're going to do next with these wings is take and spray paint them. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. But in the meantime, I do want to show you this large sticker wing that I did. And you can see from the other one here that it was a little narrow up here. I kind of rounded it out to give it more of a shape that I want. You know, you probably can't see it quite as clearly with the white on white background, but I'm letting this dry overnight so that I can use this as part of my really big project. Haven't decided yet how I'm going to frame it and what I'm doing, but just wanted to let you guys kind of in on some of the back behind the scenes of what I'm actually working on for my home. This entire wing pretty much took one whole tube, maybe one whole tube plus a tiny bit to cover. So in case you're planning to do that and you find these wings at Dollar Tree, just have an idea of how much of that caulk you will need. So what do you think so far? Do you see why I'm so excited? If you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to join our Glue Dot family by hitting that subscribe button down below. And if you want to follow me on social media, you can find me at EP Midnight Crafter on Instagram. I'm also on Pinterest, and I have a great Facebook group called Midnight Crafter Glue Dots where you can post your creative ideas and your projects as well. Don't forget to check the description box down below if you want to enter to win a really cute little bling owl keychain. I do that drawing the first of every month, and I love sending out a keychain to the winner. And also I love chit-chatting with you all. So get down there too. And then everything I use for this project is listed below as well. All right, guys, let's carry on and see how this turns out. Oh my gosh, I just had to come and share with you guys. I just spray painted these with the Rust-Oleum metallic bright shiny finish gold. Now you can use silver if you'd like, but I wanted to use gold. And it looks amazing. I know that this camera does not do it justice, but holy moly, do they look awesome. So I have to be patient now and let these dry before I can continue on. So I guess I gotta go find something to do to keep me busy. So I've also decided, because I want this to look as close to the Z Gallerie picture as possible, I'm gonna paint my frame gold as well. So I'm just gonna use a piece of scrap paper and some painter's tape to tape off the glass itself. And then I'm going to give that a coat of my same gold paint that I use for the wings. I think it's going to look great with the gold and then the black background and the gold wings instead of so much black and then just the gold wings. So that's why I decided to do that. Okay, so though it's not at all necessary, but I'm a little curious how it's going to turn out, I have my gold gilding paper and my Mod Podge, and I'm going to try a little bit of the gilding because I didn't think that this gold metallic would come out as beautiful as it did, but I am kind of curious as to how much that gold gilding paper is going to do as well. So you can leave this step out if you want to, or you can try it if you want. And I'm hoping it's not going to ruin my wings, but we're going to find out right now. So I'm using a little Mod Podge on a brush and kind of going over almost like dry brushing. There's not a whole lot on my brush. So we'll see. And then you take your gilding paper. This stuff is so cool. And you just lay it on there, press it in, and then with a clean brush, you sort of just, you peel away the excess and then just sort of brush away any of the remaining part. So now, to be totally honest, I don't see a big difference. It does kind of add a little bit of texture, but I don't know that it really makes enough of a difference or not. I suppose because I started it now, I'm going to go ahead and carry on and do it. But as I said, this step is totally optional. You can make this project without the gold paper. I'm sort of playing as I go so you can kind of see through my process to what I do. And you can put some of the scrap pieces on there. They don't need a whole lot to stick to, just something a bit sticky, and that's it. This gold gilding paper, though, I'll tell you, when you use it on something that has a different color background than gold. It really is cool stuff. So I'm just kind of putting it on wherever it's sticking right now, and then just brushing into it. Now, if you have too much Mod Podge on there, it's going to end up making it kind of ball up, and you don't want that. You just want barely any on there, just enough to get it to stick. I mean, it actually is pretty cool. It does give it a little bit more of a texture to it. Can you guys tell the difference? It does break up that total shininess, but it adds a different type of shine. I mean, it kind of makes the wings maybe look a little more realistic, if if there is such a thing as that for these gold wings. So I'm going to do the other ones so that they match, and hopefully by then our frame outside will be dry and we can get this project finished up. Okay, we're down to the last steps here. Ideally, guys, this needs to dry overnight, this frame. I have not let it dry overnight, but you do want to put some type of a hanging hook behind. I have these little hanging hooks left over from other projects. I can't do that because I should have done it ahead if I was going to paint this and show you guys. But anyway, you will want to put some type of a little hanging hook back behind there. And then the other thing I want to let you know is that gilding paper is available on Amazon, which is where I got it. I'll leave you a link down below in the description box for anything ever that I use that is not Dollar Tree, so that you'll be able to kind of duplicate what I've done, just in case you would like to. But again, that gilding paper is not a necessary step for this project. It just adds a little extra classy touch to it from what I can see. So the next thing we're going to do is position our wings wherever we want them, and I'm going to do that by using my hot glue gun. So I'm going to figure out exactly where I want them to be. Sort of centered on here is where I would like mine. And then I'm just going to kind of raise it up a little bit so I can keep it in its place, put a little hot glue behind, and lay it down. It's amazing actually what did this cost me? I think less than $5 for this entire project for something that looks like it's a lot more expensive than that. Now I'm just going to peel up all of the little tape and covering that I did here on my frame. And then the last thing I'm going to do is put my frame over my little wings here. We are going to need to glue that in place. Do make sure your glass is clean before you attach it, at least from the back side, because you're not going to be able to clean that afterwards. So I'm just going to press this down into place and then flip it over and add your hot glue, because you do want this to hold in place here and not come out, or not go in further actually too. It shouldn't be able to go in further, but we do want to just be sure that it stays in place where we want it. So at this point, if you would like this backside to have a nicer look, because the front looks so good and so classy, that you would really want to finish this off nicely to give it a really professional look. So you can use some type of paper if you have scrapbooking paper, or you just have brown paper like you see typically on the back of pictures. You can do that. So I'm going to hunt and see what I've got, and I'm going to put something in place here. I found some scrapbook paper that I cut down to size just a hair smaller than the actual frame itself, and I've got some of my Jot white glue from Dollar Tree that I'm going to glue this on with. So pretty simple stuff. I'm just going to put my glue around the edge, stick it on here, and then we are done, guys. And if you want to see the giant version of that I'm making for my family room, well, when I finish it, I'll be posting pictures in my Instagram. So don't forget to check it out over there and keep your eyes peeled, because I have a feeling it's going to be spectacular.